All right, ladies and gentlemen, traders, welcome back to another Relentless recap. As you're tuning in, be sure to hit that thumbs up. And if you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. So we're going to talk about today's session. We're going to talk about the challenges that we faced today in our day trading journey, trading ticker symbols, CVM, INKT, and others. These were our top two. We did have ABVE as well. Let's say top three, ABVE as well. We'll dive into it and we'll go from there. So, of course, hit that thumbs up. And remember, every day always starts off with us checking out the scanners here. We did started trading all the way at 7 a.m. this morning because pre-market has been in full effect. At our highs today in pre-market, we got up to about 430 in gains before the turbulence came. More and more I'm leaning towards the pre-market here in these slower market open times. And I'm saying that under the context of hyper scalping and it being a little bit more difficult to manage risk on some stocks, especially the higher price ones over $10, $20 these days. Stocks like INTK, which we'll talk about here in a second. But anyhow, early this morning, we did see some nice opportunities on this same one actually in pre-market. So let's pull it up. INTK here, early pre-market. Let's talk about some of the opportunities that this one gave, where we were able to get up to about 400 bucks. So this thing ended up going from $8 to $26 in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the open. And this is where we really were able to get green on it. My first trade's coming around 19. Obviously it did go quite a bit of distance with really light volume, which is always very difficult to take part in. And so we waited as much as we could for there to be a little bit more volume before getting involved. But you can see this thing is trading about 50 to 80,000 shares, which is a little tough, I will say. But nevertheless, we did fairly well in this range. We did have a nice trade, I believe, with 300 shares. We didn't really size up because we wanted to manage risk. But all in all, we did well. We did take a loss though at some point, which was a little bit more of a brutal trade. We did size up at one point to push over 400 in gains and got murdered. Let's see. So we started off with a small loss, just about 20 cents. But then from there, we're in at 1987, out at 2093. Very solid trade here with the small size. Back in at 2340, out at 2365. Back in at 2340 now with a little bit more size here. 300 shares. And of course, relatively speaking, if you're using 10,000 shares on a stock like this, well, this will be baby size. But again, if we come back to the candlesticks, right? What time was this where we got this trade here? This is 7:32 a.m. We're pushing 58,000 shares of volume. So, if you're using 10,000 shares in a candlestick like this, you're really moving the stock, let's say, right? So I think most traders will adjust their size even if they're using big size. But yeah, the pre-market trades for the most part I felt was pretty clean. A nice entry there with the 300 shares. Fair trades. And then let's see, we did have a loss with smaller size here. Let's see, a small win again in a 26, in a 29, 23.29 out of 23.67. Some smaller winners, which added up. Yeah, again, in the pre-market, we did well. Again, we got up to 400 bucks. But then the open, man. The open today was pretty miserable. For those of you guys who did not trade today or who came late today, sadly, I did record the wrong screen actually, but still just for reference here, let me show you guys how bad it was with the lag. And so today was one of those days where we just had floating orders. I tell you, man, market open, I don't know. This is a good example here where we'd hit the buy button and nothing would happen for minutes at a time. I think for me to get going, I had to restart my platform actually. Let's look at this. I think my first trades on CVM worked. And then after that, we had the lag. So ABVE, this is at 9:33 a.m. And you can see the order is just like sitting. I did cancel this order. So when it was all said and done, I'm not sure if that's why they canceled it, or maybe if they just kind of like went back to a certain point in time and like reversed all the orders. Not sure what they did. But I ended up looking at different opportunities, just looking at different stocks, trying to see what might be moving up, but at the same time, not really looking to trade because we're having this technical difficulty, this turbulence. HOLO, which was halted down. Again, another example of it. So you can see how long it lasted. I just tested out one share on Tesla. It just, and look at how long the chart is taking to populate. Like, look at the 1 minute chart up here, taking an eternity to populate. Not nonsense like that. And so with INTK, the first, the first halt resumption, or even two, we're not really able to properly pay attention to it because of the nonsense of what was going on. I'm thinking at one point, do I want to utilize E-Trade to get involved? So, this is the kind of day. So I still had a little bit of my pre-market profits at this time. But when we do get involved here, eventually we're going to take losses. So these here, we're testing out orders to see if they'll work. And then after resumption, so let's see, after 10:06 INTK, let's pull it up here on E-Trade, where we'll get that better look at the halt levels. Let's check again. So the first trade came around 10:10 a.m., which is all the way here in this consolidation. Not ideal, that you're coming a little late, but still though, there's enough to still be able to make money here after red to green on this resumption. We did a good job bottom ticking this candle, or at least close to it, which was one of our better trades during the open on this one. We're down on the bottoming wick here, selling a little higher into the push, but then we took losses coming down here, trying to get a bit of a repeat of the trade. So around 43, we tried jumping in, we got a high fill, and it came down. Took a good sized loss here coming into the halt down. But these stocks like this, I think, are really better for the longer hold, man. The way how we're hyper scalping, I really don't think is the best way to capture a stock like this. We can still see good days and good opportunities, but you can't really make a mistake, right? With the spreads, and as we know, price improvements is came and went like yesterday's news, right? So with the spreads, your accuracy has to be insanely high. If you're wrong, and also if you're in high, you're not as confident to hold that trade with some selling coming through, you can get chopped out, stop out at the bottom, and the stock goes right without you, right? And so with this type of massive range where we can see 41 by 45.88 in one candlestick, you gotta be careful, and you gotta be in holding from a nice average, letting the stock work. And so I ended up going from green to red. It's really small size here, as you guys can see, but still, not ideal. This thing ended up going to 50. I'm pretty sure there's a couple people that made millions of dollars on this stock, right? So I'm asking myself here, what am I doing? And what are the adjustments that I need to make to get up to a level, right? And it doesn't have to be $1 million a day per se. I mean, if that's the case, that would be great. But to get up to even 10K on a day like this, even 1K, forget it. Forget 10K, 1K. Can this P&L column over here go from minus 100 to then plus 1K? 1K, right? Oh man, that's pretty terrible drawing, but plus 1K. That's what we need to see here. So, with the hyper scalping style, it's just not the exact same way how we would see the price action, I would say, versus earlier this year or last year. So there's adjustments that need to be made, and I'm still thinking here on what I want to do during the open. We had a good range, and the key that I'm thinking of is that I'll have to be very accepting of potentially being in much higher than the lows and having a much wider stop, which is risky because if we do end up breaking down, you can take a massive loss. However, and I'm saying that because to get the exact bottom and the exact top is just near impossible. But if we can get close to the bottom and selling into the top, that's much more acceptable, right? And so taking the range and being a better range bound trader, I think, is the key. And it's going to really continue to come down to execution. Where are we basing out? How close am I in relative to that level? And do I have the diamond hands required to hold the trade? Let's look at a different stock here in ABVE. Another stock where I had fairly good intuition and ended red, right? I mean, this one, like I was talking on the live stream, like, man, this thing just making me want to bare knuckle fight somebody, right? I mean, I know you guys will see me as not as a violent person, and I'm not, but man, I tell you, the market can really get you feeling like you want to just, give me the worst person in the world right now to just go up against. With the amount of rage and ferocity that I'll have, it's just no way that I'll lose, But anyhows, bringing it back. So I saw this thing as it was curling up here, right through VWAP. I came right on this candlestick here, like right between these two candlesticks, as this one was about to end. And I'm jumping in, for a small trade down here, selling closer to the highs. I'm pretty sure if my memory is correct here. So what time was this? This is a 10:18. I'm using really small size, just still taking it easy. We had the lag. Bro, mark my words, bro. Watch when the time comes, bro, I'm gonna be ready. Okay, here we go. In at 53. Again, a really small size, right? At this point for me, on the day, it's a slow day. There's lag, there's issues. I'm just on cruise control, and I want to make sure everything is good before I really, get involved. All right, we start off. This trade is a good rhythm trade. What I'm seeing and how I'm seeing it is working. Cool. Now we put a little bit more size and we do attempt in this area here, break a 4 in case the stock is going to go straight through the level. And we realized there's resistance here. Once it got up to 4, we had sellers at 4, a bunch of them. And so then the conversation became, are we going to pull back first? Are we going to pull back first? Are we going to get a dip before this goes up? So said, so done. If you guys watch back the live stream. So to position myself for this dip, I start to buy and average in very, very slowly. I'm in at 75 initially, off of the high of 4. I added 68. I added 63. Our low at the time was 62. VWAP was at 55. So imagine this is coming down. Our low's at 62. VWAP is at 55. And we're consolidating high off the VWAP, about 7 cents higher. Now, in hindsight, my stop should have been below VWAP. Instead, I had my stop at the low of the pullback here, the low of the initial pullback. And so I did recycle the shares at 75. I took a small loss. And this position right here, I took a $50 loss. Cool. And then I added back. At 71. Well, 72 really. A little high, let's say. But okay. And then I added back 65. Another 1,000 shares. So I'm in here, a good position. Fair position, not massive, but fair position. And my stop is at 60. The stock makes a new low off of VWAP. And because we consolidated high off the level, this drop to VWAP came at the very end of the candlestick, like the last 20 seconds or so. because we consolidated 8 cents higher, I thought if we were going to break down, it was going to sell off, especially since we had a candlestick close like this. If we're to pull in the 5-minute chart, also let's make this slightly bigger. If we're to pull in the 5-minute chart here, our 5-minute candlestick at 10:20 after 4 closed with a topping wick, and we're a red candle at this point, right? So I'm like, yeah, if this breaks down below 60, we're going to be cooked. It breaks down below 60 and it curled right back up instantly. And so I was thinking to myself, two things. Maybe I started scaling in a little too early, one. Or two, maybe my stop was a little too tight. My average was 68 in the trade. My stop was at 60. I'm risking 8 cents. Maybe I could have widened my stop to below 55 because I still would have had a really solid ratio in the trade. But again, because of the 5-minute candlestick closing how it did, when we broke down here, now imagine this candlestick is red and coming down to VWAP right here. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's selling off. And I cut my trade in the exact bottom of this candlestick, only to see the stock rise up and that my initial instinct was right, slapping me miserably in the face. Guys, hit the thumbs up if you have not already. So again, our day started off well. We came in early, we checked our scanners, we got some small green on I whatever the stock was, what name, INKT, there we go. We got some green. Sadly, some technical difficulties into the open, but okay, fine. But from there, we're starting slow, looking to get dialed in. And we start to get into some turbulence. We take the loss. Stock goes without us. We tried a couple scalp trades in here, and they were miserable. We didn't quite get what we wanted for the boost going up. And, you know, from here on in, it was basically chop, man. So this is where we stopped out at the bottom. You know, we tried a couple of quicker scalps. Didn't quite get what we wanted. I mean, you know, like a couple of cent here or there. And then I think there was an area where we had a really high fill. And then from there, it was clips. We were cooked. We didn't get the breakthrough for. We tried a couple times. You can see all of these trades are like attempting break of 4, but we're getting stuffed that resistance still. We're missing the dip. We missed the dip. Can we get the breakout at the very least? You know, all of these trades here, we're trying. We don't get it. We then take a dip from 414 or so at 05. It was too early, too soon. We got chopped out. And, you know, the stock opened, and this is a mistake here too, to increase size, right? The stock opens up a little more. I feel like I can still connect and do well. Punched in the mouth. Some smaller losses add up. We do get a good trade here in at 89. But we expected back over 4, so this is a 1036, which is right here. This thing went up to 420, and I bottom ticked this candlestick. And I'm like, okay, back over 4 more than likely has to happen here because everything I know tells me back over 4. So initially, I don't sell this position. What I do instead, I just sold a little bit here, and even this is like still selling a little early. I just sold a little something, and it makes a new low. And again, this is where I think my stops are sometimes a little too tight. My target here, 415, 410. I'm looking to make 20 cents. As long as I'm not risking more than 10 cents, I can have my 2 to 1. And at points in time throughout the past, a break-even stop made sense because you can just get back in and not have to risk anything. But in this type of market where everything is so sporadic, I'm stopping out flat and the stock is at 98. And it's like, bro, where I'm thinking we might come down 80, 82, 84, 85, and I can maybe buy back a little lower, try it again. The best decision was just to hold through and even add because the setup was still strong and there was no need to have such a tight stop. We had a good risk to reward ratio. So now I'm out of this sweet trade here early and it goes without me. So we missed the dip again. And now we're trying to scalp here to capture a couple of cents at least on the way up. And the scalps are not so great. We're only getting like a cent or two. And then what happens, I think we got a high fill somewhere. Okay, we caught, let's see, in at 404 out at 08, in at 15 out at 15, in at 18 out at 28. Back in at 21 out at 23. Not really great trades. We would want to see a couple more cents. I think this one, let's see, this one we're in for 7 seconds here. Not really quite getting the 6 seconds, not really getting the push and retest over 30. We tried, let's see, 23. Let's see, 23. We added a 35 for new highs. It kind of gets stuffed at 38. We come back out for a bit of a gain and then a loss on the other one. It wasn't the cleanest trading here. Mistakes on my side. But you can see how close these trades are. So I was telling the live stream, like, man, like, being red on this stock is like just so frustrating because it's like I'm seeing exactly what should happen and then my execution is a little off, keeping things too tight. Yeah, this is definitely a me issue because then on some stock that looks good where I'm saying let's give it more time or more range, it's then cooking me selling off. So the key is to be consistent with one thing all the time. That way you catch what you're supposed to catch and what you're not supposed to catch, you don't catch either, right? If that makes any sense. So that's pretty much how the day went with this one. And then I think CVM, where did we take the loss on this one? Show trades. Okay, so it wasn't during the open. Let's see, 42 to, well, we did take a loss from 42 to 30. Average price 630, 665. Yeah, this one was tough during the open, and then over here it curled up. We're late to it, I think, looking at something else, and literally everything we get is backside. I believe we were a little late. We might have missed one trade. I think we were late for the most part. Looking at a different stock, we pulled it up a little late, and then of course, god dang backside. The one place that you're thinking you're gonna see a quick pullback for the stock to then continue is the absolute depths where you should never trade. Some people are good at backside, but for me, the sentiment is in the favor of the short sellers now. Maybe this is a place where MACD could have helped out, right? So this is where I would have wanted to be involved, not getting to the stock too late and then trading this nonsense left over. But the reason we're trading this is because as it's coming down, it's still looking somewhat attractive for us to potentially curl back up. But then we never get the bounce. Right? And this ended up halting down. We tried the resumption trade and we got murdered trying to get the dip. Just nothing really worked out nicely. I think I was green on realized 20 cents here, actually. But it was so quick. I didn't look to sell because I thought we should see more of a bounce, considering we came from 708 down to a low of 550. The bounce was not that great. It's showing 97. I saw like 80s. And maybe I just needed to throw my order on the ask or hit market to get out instantly. But I really did think we could see like 610, 620. So I gave it like an extra second and like instantly it's like down on me. So I'm like, man, let's get out of the trade. And we got a bit of a higher fill too, aiming for 55 entry. Well, not that bad. Only 62, a couple cents slippage, not too bad. But yeah, that was the day, right? It wasn't a bad day, but it's not a great day at the same time. We did take a loss on the day. INKT, the way how we're trading right now is just not the best style for this type of stock, in all honesty. The people whose style cater to holding longer are gonna make money on this. Like, and for me looking at it, just looking at I mean, it just really, it's a different mindset, right? It's a real different mindset from the hyper scalping to just say, hey, forget level two, forget the tape, forget everything that we would do and make so much money on, and just look at the pattern. Hey, we're making new high, or let's say higher lows, and we get a wedge breakout through the VWAP. Getting in and literally putting your stop at the low of the last candle type of thing, right? I mean, there's going to be risk because if it fails, you take that loss, but sometimes that's what's necessary here. And if we zoom out, you had break of the pre-market high as like another area. So in right here for this wedge breakout, if not, as this candle closes it in break of the pre-market high right here, halts up again, and you never look back on this type of stock. Now the key is though, how often is this going to work versus the day where this does come down and stop you out, right? I'm pretty sure most people didn't think this was going to go from 20 to 50 or 75 like it did. It's a different strategy. It's a different style. It's not exactly what I would do normally, right? And so to this point in my career, what's gotten me here is like sticking to my guns. So when the conversation comes up about like making a change for a 1 day thing, it's kind of tough. But overall, we've been seeing a longer market volatility for hyper scalping. Now, something to be careful of, and I should have actually centered this video around it, was Charles Schwab banning people and banning their customers. I don't know if it's a hyper scalping thing specifically. I'm not sure what it is, but we've had close members in our chat room get removed from Charles Schwab completely. Is it a hyper scalping thing? Is it just a trading thing? Is it, I mean, is it a share size thing? Is it a quantity thing? I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know. So there's definitely a little bit of uncertainty in the air around orders and lag and then people complaining. Is it complaining about the lag that we had about the orders? I mean, I don't know, right? It's hard to say when these people who are getting their accounts restricted call customer service. Customer service isn't giving them any details. So what I do know is that what's gotten me to where I am has been discipline, patience, and sticking to my guns. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. It hasn't been pretty this year, not even close. I went through my calendar a bunch of times this year. I can do it again right here towards the end of the recap. But this money, while it's not the most money ever out there, it is still life changing. It's still great that I've been able to do this, and I'm grateful for this. But we're definitely looking forward to seeing hotter markets in the future because we can make 9K a trade every day, 9,000 a day, 10K a day in the right market conditions and circumstance. This kind of money here is not to be played with, right? This is solid gain. So, especially for 2-3 hours a day, 2 hours a day to keep the 9 to 5 away. However, we're tired of the slow patch, but at the same time, we understand patience. So we're gonna do what needs to be done, and I'll show you guys my equity curve here one more time of us going sideways. It's been quite a brutal sideways period here. We're grateful not to be losing, but it's been a tough consolidation, right? We haven't lost money here, but we've been sideways for quite some time. One of our longest sideways period. I mean, we had here, but this is only like 2 months. This takes us back to all the way early in our career. We're from August all the way to February almost. But even then, back here, we weren't as good at trading pullbacks and trading dips. And now, we're kind of seeing some similar things where we need to shore up on our trading. So the aim is always the same, which is to be better, which is to be great. Greatness is my middle name. Relentless greatness trader. That's my name right there. And so when in doubt, whenever you feel as if giving up may be around the corner, whenever you feel as if a red day is too much, a drawdown is too much, tune into this channel, because above all else, we are a motivator. This sideways period, we'll be laughing. We'll be laughing soon. I can just see myself talking with Big Steve and other traders around the community about this sideways period and how it was nothing, because on the other side, we're going to be so ferocious. We're going to be so epic. We're going to be so great. We're going to be so powerful, so strong, so consistent, so disciplined, so diligent, that the uptrend will be like no uptrend we've ever seen before. We're going to set records. We're going to set records. We're going to set records. Remember, always, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. So let's continue to chase down our greatness. In this year of 2025, let's get healthy, let's stay healthy, and get wealthy. Trading is the way. There is no field, no matter how nice the weather might be outside, no matter how much an office job could be paying. I'd rather be nowhere else in this world than right here, right now, going through this consolidation, because I know what it means to bet on myself and come out on the other side winning. Remember deep down that we're winners here in this relentless trading community. We are winners. That dog inside of us, the beast, will be unleashed. For those of you who are red, who've never been green. For those of you who've been break even looking to get green. For those of you who are small green looking to get big green. For those of you who are big green looking to expand. Greatness is around the corner. Shout out to all of our students. We have students like Lucas, Beam, Jackson, Alice, Oren. I mean, the list goes on and on. Cactus. The list goes on and on. Shout out to Zay, Big Steve, Dash. I mean, the list goes on and on of people who've been able to turn their dreams into reality because they saw it in their mind. And now they're holding it in their hands. So let's stay disciplined. Let's stay patient. Let's put in the work behind the scenes when no one is looking, so that we too can be on the rise, the up and up. We don't have to look far. Marcelo, Tim, Crispy, Save, Calamity, all the Team House members right there in front of our eyes. Heck, if you want to look in the broader community, you got guys like Ross Cameron, 100K in pre-market almost every day, right? You got all these transparent traders, whether they're in a small chat room or they're public on YouTube. You got so many people out here showing that it can be done. What more do we need to see other than to put in that work and watch our account make magic? Yes, 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 yes. Guys, hit that thumbs up if you have not already. It's been your favorite YouTuber. It's been the greatest in the world. Relentless trader will once again dominate. I can see it in my mind. And so I will manifest it by putting in hard work and actionable things, so I can hold it in my hands. And when I'm holding in my hands, man, get ready, because I'm going to be on one. I'm going to be rocking the cradle like this, walking through Wall Street. So hit that thumbs up and I'll catch you guys first thing Monday morning for another good one. All right, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay green. See you later.